Am I the a-hole for sending my ex's wife a binder documenting his abuse after I found out she was pregnant? I have an ex who I was in an abusive relationship with that ended with quite a bang. He was arrested for harassment and threats with a dangerous weapon, put on probation for 5 years, and can never own a firearm again. The abuse started mentally, then financially, then physically. During my years with him, I did think to save a good amount of evidence of the abuse and documented a lot in personal journals. In the years since, I've gone to a lot of therapy, and I mean a lot, and ended up compiling that documentation into a binder. I basically scrapbooked my way through processing trauma. That binder has been sitting in a storage unit since I moved in with my now husband. Well, I knew that my ex ended up marrying a girl I knew from high school who was sweet and smart. This guy was a deadbeat, even misspelled a tattoo he did on himself. I swear my taste in men isn't total trash. My husband is amazing. But the pair never made sense to me, and I just prayed that he was capable of change and didn't do what he did to me to her. When I found out she was pregnant with his kid, I couldn't stop worrying about her. I found out, as expected, that the story she got was that I was crazy and a cheater and I made things up, and she likely didn't even know about his arrest and conviction. I don't know what their relationship was like behind closed doors, but I knew that I'd have an endless amount of what-ifs if he had a child with her and was anything like he was with me. Nobody deserves the treatment I got, and no child should ever have to see that or think it's okay. So, I made a copy of every single page I put in the binder and packed them up with a handwritten note, offering to talk about anything if she'd like. I gave them to a mutual friend to deliver, so he couldn't intercept them. About a week later, she texted me. We met for coffee, and she brought the papers, pulling pages out one by one and asking for context and comparing the story he told to mine. After a bit, she just sat silently and told me how sorry she was for what I went through. I was a little surprised she believed it without question, and she told me she didn't believe any of it until the official court records and my victim impact statement. Then it was like it all clicked how real it was. I offered her a room or any help if she wanted to leave, but she said she was going to head home and pack a bag for her parents. It's been a few days since, and she's staying with them until she decides her next move, but hasn't told him the real reason behind this all yet. At first, I had no doubt or regret about what I did, but I've had some people tell me that I had no business blowing up her life and that I have no idea what he is like now. But I was doing what I think I would want someone to do for me. I'm not sure. Am I the a-hole? Edit to answer common questions. I found out about the marriage and the pregnancy through screenshots sent to me. It's small-town gossip, not me keeping tabs. I waited until after she was pregnant because I had thought about doing it when I found out they were married, but decided to stay out of it. When I found out she was pregnant, I knew I couldn't sleep at night if I didn't tell her. It pushed me over the edge because he had caused a miscarriage for me, and that's a pain I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. Yes, my husband knows about the past abuse and that I did this, and fully supported me. Even offered to give it to her himself. I currently have a restraining order on him, an incredibly protective guard dog, a security system, and a concealed carry license that I actively use. The people that found out were not from me telling. At first, I only told my mom, who I went to for advice, my husband obviously, and later I told 2 friends who knew every detail just so they knew. Most responses were from people I only kinda know, or don't know at all, because they found out somehow through her. That's all I know. Now for the top comments. I think that she at least had a red flag moment or two for her to suggest you two meet up. Your evidence was likely what she needed to see to make it real. Hopefully you all survive and thrive without this guy. The fact she was comparing what he told her and what she knows now is true, and is spending time with her parents to process, means absolutely she had some ideas something was off. Pregnancy is often when the mask starts to slip with abusers. They know that it's harder to walk away from a relationship when a child is involved, so they relax and let their true personality show. My ex went on to unalive his next wife. So yes, you did the right thing. This is behavior that almost never changes. Oh, that hits. How are you doing? I hope you've gotten any and all help and support you needed to build yourself back after him and that later incident. You're correct. The behavior never changes. OP's case could be treated as a bellwether if current wife ever finds herself needing legal assistance with the marriage and or its dissolution. OP did her an incomprehensibly massive favor. I was okay because I left before I endured too much abuse. The problem for me as far as notifying his fiancée was that I didn't have anything on file or legal grounds. At that point, women just think you had sour grapes and they don't believe each other. I hate to admit that I thought either he'd change or that the abuse would be minimal enough for her to just leave. Story was that he threatened their pets and she didn't leave soon enough, and he snapped using a gun. Pretty horrific, and at that point you'd like to turn back the clock. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend the real reason her fiancé's last relationship ended? So, I, 27 female, have a best friend Sarah, 26 female, who's been with her fiancé Jake, 29 male, for about 2 years now. They just got engaged a couple of months ago, and up until recently, I had no reason to think anything was off. But then I found out who Jake's ex was, and everything changed. Jake used to date a woman named Megan, 30 female, and the reason I know this is because she's actually an old co-worker of mine. We weren't best friends or anything, but I remember when she went through absolute hell because of him. She had to take out a restraining order, and he was charged with stalking and harassment after they broke up. I remember her coming to work shaken up because he would just show up outside her apartment, leave creepy notes, and at one point, he even slashed her tires. I never really connected the dots until Sarah casually mentioned his ex's name in passing. And when I asked her what Jake had told her about the breakup, she gave me the classic story. Megan was crazy, obsessed with him, and made up lies when he tried to move on. I didn't want to interfere in her relationship, but I also couldn't just sit there knowing she might be walking into something dangerous. So, I reached out to Megan and asked if she was okay with me sharing what I knew. She was super understanding and even offered to send Sarah the police reports and the court documents from when everything went down. So I sat down with Sarah and told her the truth. I showed her the actual records, explained what Megan had gone through, and just let her process everything. She was quiet for a while, then said she needed time to think. A couple of days later, she told Jake she wanted to pause the engagement. And now he's absolutely furious with me, calling me a liar and saying I ruined his future. Sarah hasn't officially broken things off, but I know she's really shaken up. Meanwhile, I have mutual friends saying that I should have stayed out of it because people change, and I might have destroyed a relationship that had nothing wrong with it. I genuinely thought I was doing the right thing, but now I'm second-guessing myself. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. People do change, but given he never shared this with Sarah, is a red flag. I agree that people can change, but the fact is that Jake never told Sarah about his past. If he had truly changed, he would have been upfront about it. The fact that he kept it hidden says a lot. He's furious and calling you a liar. He hasn't changed. I've sometimes been an a-hole in the past. Nowhere near this great of a-hole, but an a-hole nonetheless. When I realized how dickish I was being, or was called out and realized it, I felt remorse and apologetic. If asked about it, I was honest, owned my mistakes and told my side. Jake did none of this. He hasn't changed. He just held it in longer. You absolutely did the right thing here. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I wish somebody would have warned me about my ex. I think the problem here is Sarah's reaction. She should have handled this in a more discreet manner, especially since the guy might be dangerous. And to tell him exactly who told her what he was like and provided evidence, who has just been proven to be an aggressive and violent liar. She's a complete idiot, or has provided him with a diversion to go after her. I realized there's likely to be some shock, and she blurted it out, but OMG, talk about throwing OP to the wolves. OP is not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sleep on the couch? I, 22 male, told my girlfriend, 20 female, that I was going to the bar with my friend, 24 male, and his girlfriend, 21 female, to celebrate her birthday. I was leaving at 7 p.m. and said I would be gone for at most 2 hours. I offered to grab my girlfriend fast food for a late dinner. She was okay with this plan. I even texted her a few times while I was there. I only had 1 drink and 1 test tube shot. I paid for the 3 shots to celebrate her 21st. My buddy paid for my drink since he lost a bet on the way to the bar. I got home, and my girlfriend was in bed watching TikToks. I handed her the food bag. Since it was a late dinner, I didn't mind if she wanted to eat in bed. She got up, so I assumed she was going to eat at the table. But instead, she tossed the food in the bin, telling me she had already eaten. Okay, that's fine, but we could have put the food in the fridge. I would have eaten it for breakfast. I mentioned this to her. She started going in on me, saying I was a crappy person for enjoying a drink with some whore, my friend's girlfriend. She saw the photo of us online, a photo of the 3 of us. I had texted her throughout the night and even told her my friend brought his girlfriend since it was her birthday. She didn't respond. She was so mad that she told me to sleep on the couch. She said I was drunk and that she feared for her safety. I wasn't drunk and I wasn't going to harm her. I refused to move. I paid for this bed. She grabbed the blankets off me and threw my pillow across the room, knocking over my desk lamp. I told her to stop being such a bee and to just sleep, that we could talk about it in the morning. She got defensive and left. I didn't try to stop her or even text or call. I guess she went to her parents' house. Her friends are telling me that I'm the a-hole, while my friend and his girlfriend are telling me to break up with her, that I don't need that toxicity in my life. Edit. I apologize for my misleading first sentence. The original plan was just drinks with my buddy. The plans changed, his girlfriend joining us throughout the night, and I texted my girlfriend to update her. I never received any texts back. I took no response as an okay from my girlfriend. To clarify, my girlfriend is underage and legally can be carded and escorted out by any staff for being near a bar or casino in my state. Not the a-hole. Sounds like there's a lot more issues than just you going out in this whole food situation. Mate, your need to break up yesterday. That girl is a liability. This time she assaulted you, broke your stuff and left. Next time you will be the one driving off in the back of the police cruiser. No. Don't stick your junk in crazy, bro. If I was him, she'd come back to find her stuff packed on the front porch. No way is she stepping foot inside again. Not the a-hole. From a 42-year-old dude, do not let her back in the apartment and do not meet without witnesses and break up immediately. She basically threatened you by saying she fears for her safety by you. Put all her things in bags and leave it outside the door. Don't leave it outside the door. Legally, you will be responsible for her stuff if something happens to it. You also cannot change the locks if you were living together, regardless of if she was on the lease or paid rent. Go apply for a temporary restraining order. Source: Cop, 15 years of handling domestics. Mini update. I have been texting a few of her friends to clarify what was being said. That made me the a-hole. My girlfriend told them I had hit her in a drunken rage. I feel sick about this. A few believe me, but because they are her friends, they feel they have to support her. Thankfully, she doesn't have a key. Her friends who believe me are coming over to pack her belongings. I'm cutting all ties with her. I don't know. I guess all I can say is I wish her the best. Last story. Am I the a-hole for thinking about divorcing my wife after she drunkenly exposed me to our group of friends? The issue happened Saturday night. We had our friend group over. There are 6 couples in the group, and we were hosting at our house. The night was progressing pretty normally. We had done dinner and were just hanging on the couches chatting. Everyone had been drinking over the course of the evening, so we were all pretty comfy. My wife Amy, all names fake, was talking with one of the other girls about my new job. I recently got a promotion that comes with a nice raise. The downside is that I have to travel a decent amount, up to 2 weeks a month, but only 3 to 4 days at a time at most. We were excited for the changes the extra income would bring and how it would impact our future, so the travel was something we agreed was worth it. As they were chatting, her friend Pamela was talking about how they make it work since her husband also travels for work a lot. The conversation was actually quite helpful, honestly, in a lot of ways. There were some good ideas in there. That is, until it happened. Heidi jokingly said, and be sure to order some sex toys that are the same size as him, so you can still have sex while he is gone. She was giggling, just making light of the fact that I would be gone, and that the biggest challenge they had was the interruption to their sex life. No harm in this, right? That is, until my wife says it. I don't think they make them that tiny. Guys, I went totally pale. Everyone stopped talking and you could just feel the awkwardness in the room. I think she realized what she had said because she tried to backpedal. But the damage was done. I just stared at her in disbelief. She kept trying to backpedal and saying, "I'm so sorry." I just stood up and walked out. I didn't know what to say or do. I headed over to a buddy's house. I was sober. I don't drink. I didn't tell him the story, just that we had an argument. But I feel so violated by Amy. Now, the backstory here. What she said is most likely true. I am not endowed at all. I have known this basically my whole life. Any guy can back me up when I say we are all conscious of our size. I have always been super insecure about mine. But our sex life was never lacking because I made up for it in other ways in the bedroom, and she has never lacked in the orgasm department. We just get there other ways sometimes. Now here is where I feel like the a-hole. I want to divorce her. I feel so violated. I feel like I can never see these friends again. I feel like all they will be thinking about when I'm around is her comment and, well, how tiny is it really? But my a-hole feeling comes in, because I've also known for a long time that it's small. So I steered into this skid, I guess you could say, and am more submissive in the bedroom, and enjoy it when she pokes fun at it in private. But that was just us. Now I feel so violated with it being public knowledge. But I also may have made my bed here by being okay with the dirty talk? I don't know. And for those wondering, yes, she has called and texted a ton yesterday apologizing for outing me, but I told her I needed space for a bit. Honestly, I don't even know if I'll read the replies. I just needed to vent this somewhere. I have no one to talk to about it. My buddy I'm staying with just thinks we had a fight. I feel so lost. I feel like an a-hole, but I just don't know if I can trust her again or feel secure enough to see any of them again. Nah, man, you're not the a-hole. Your wife basically speedran your worst insecurity in front of all your friends like it was open mic night. There's a massive difference between playful teasing in private and public humiliation, and she knows that, which is why she instantly started backpedaling. You didn't make your bed by being into a little playful dirty talk. That's between you two. She crossed the line when she made your bedroom dynamic a group discussion. I'd take all the space you need, because trust isn't easy to rebuild after something like this. Not saying you have to divorce her, but you definitely deserve a partner who hypes you up, not one who puts you on blast for a cheap laugh. Thanks for the input. I plan having talking with her about it today. I just feel like my trust was so violated that I don't know it can be repaired. That's my core issue more than anything. You phrased it well about the insecurity component, that I think will help me be able to constructively have a conversation, hopefully. Thank you. Is it possible that she already told the female friend group, which is why it came out easily? It is about character and maturity, not the friends' opinions. Honestly, that's a thought that has been in my head that I think makes me the most anxious.
Today, I messed up by accidentally revealing my boyfriend's mom's infidelity. Obligatory. The story actually happened about a year ago. I, 18 female at the time, was dating a boy named Jacob, 18 male at the time. His father, early 60s, was a mechanic, and his mom, mid-50s, was a stay-at-home mom. They were a pretty typical white suburban family in the South, and had asked Jacob if they could meet me even though we had only been dating for a month. At the dinner, I met his mom, dad, older brother, older sister, and her newborn daughter. The dinner went well, and I was chatting about my volunteer work at my college's blood drive, to which his father explains that his doctor told him he was O negative and a universal blood donor. My boyfriend mentions he is also O, but his siblings casually mentioned they are both AB. I don't think anything of it because my boyfriend had mentioned that his mom was married once before and was widowed. The following conversations went like this. Me: "Oh, that's really cool. You're a really rare blood type. If you don't mind me asking, is your mom's blood type A and your dad's B, or your dad's A and mom's B?" Older sister: What do you mean? He is O, gesturing to my boyfriend's father. Me. Oh, I know. I was just asking about your bio father. But of course you don't have to answer if you don't want to. I then noticed his mom getting really pale. And it was in that moment I realized I messed up. Older brother. What do you mean bio father? Me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. Jacob's dad got really quiet. And looking at his wife's face, he knew instantly. I look over to Jacob, who I think was starting to put the full picture of what was happening together. Jacob's dad. Are you saying they're not my biological kids? Because my wife swore up and down in marriage counseling. By marriage counseling, they mean with a pastor. That they were my kids, and she would never cheat on me. Yeah, turns out she never had any kids from her previous marriage. Jacob's mom. I would never cheat on you. Older sister and older brother are your kids. Jacob's dad. Opie, why do you think they're not my kids? I tried to excuse myself because it was very clear the cat was out of the bag. And with a quick Google search for my boyfriend, he starts cussing out his mom. She starts to sob and apologizes over and over again. And I am forced to explain 9th grade biology to his father about the fact that the only kids he could have produced were with the blood type O, A, or B, but absolutely not AB. So Jacob was the only one with a possibility of being a son. They all start screaming at one another. Older sister eventually leaves because her newborn is screaming too. His mom goes and locks herself in the bedroom, but his older brother follows her screaming, asking who his real father is. My boyfriend is trying to figure out if his dad still wants to be their father, and I eventually have a friend come pick me up. Yeah, we broke up shortly after, but not after figuring out that none of the kids produced from the marriage was his. They found out via paternity tests, and for sure weren't his kids, and they divorced soon after. Edit. For those asking how they knew their blood types, Jacob donated blood for the blood drive at our school. His sister just had the baby, so she was probably informed during pregnancy. Jacob's dad was told by his doctor for, probably, underlying medical reasons, I don't know. I wasn't ever really close to his family after that for obvious reasons. And I don't know how his brother knew. Now for the top comments. That's an amazing life experience. Not many people get to be the catalyst for a family disintegrating by holding an impromptu high school science lecture. Wicked. I second this. It may have felt uncomfortable in the moment, but knowing science and explaining it to people who don't know science is never a screw-up. This is exactly why our bio class stopped having the students compare their blood to their parents' blood for labs. Apparently, there was always one kid every year who was not biologically connected to the dad. I wonder how many people will actually see a family implode. We had a front row seat. What do you mean front row seat? This lucky/unlucky lady was driving. Steered headfirst into the family, then got out of the car and ran away unscathed. Damn, all his kids were his after 18 years? Yeah, that might break me. Legitimately break me. Definitely would still love the crap out of my kids, but I think something would break inside me. The knowing that my entire reproductive life, due to 60, is a lie and the opportunity to father biological kids is long past. I couldn't talk to my soon-to-be ex-spouse again. Then I would need some therapy. I found out right around the time my little princess turned 1 year old. I had some doubts beforehand, but didn't pursue it because I was scared of the truth. Turns out she wasn't mine, and it truly did break me and put me into a dark self-ending place in my life that I'm thankful I made it out of. There's nothing more devastatingly heart-wrenching than finding out a child whom you love so much is not yours. She's now 5 years old, and she will always be my princess and my daughter to me, no matter who or what anyone says. Her real father is in her life now, but she still calls me daddy. I have an older daughter too that is for sure my blood, and they are sisters. So I will always be part of her life and will never turn my back on her for her mother's infidelity. None of this was her fault. She is an innocent child, and she is nothing short of a blessing to me regardless of blood. Next story is titled, My 22 female dad 50 male found out my brother 13 male isn't his and is demanding that I participate in a paternity test. My brother has been having serious medical issues. I don't want to get into details, but in the midst of one of his hospitalizations, it was found out my brother is not my dad's son. My dad was devastated. I left the house and went radio silent for a lot of days. My mom, 47 female, knew that I was bound to talk to her sometime soon, So she admitted that she had an affair with a boss when she started working for him at age 23 and stopped working for him at 35 when he retired. The man died a few years ago, and my mom said she was sure that I was my father's child. My dad pretty much told everybody in the extended family about what we found out, so things were already starting to become a war with relatives saying their pieces. Their separation got even more bitter when my mom decided to be the one to serve divorce papers on my dad. From what I got out of the two of them, my mom thought my dad was going to punish my brother by denying him funds for medical care, and she said for him, she needed to be the one to say her piece first. I've tried to reach out to my dad and offer him my emotional support. I noticed he was looking unkempt and looked to not be eating well, so I offered to go stock up his apartment with the groceries. I also offered my financial support because I was grateful he put me through Vanderbilt. Even though we're not rich or upper middle class, but I've gotten a good job in finance and good paying internships because of it. He's been cold about all my overtures and would use our calls to rant about every aspect of his life. He yelled at me through the phone once when I mentioned that my brother said I missed my dad and sends his love. It has been hell, especially because I feel like I have to take sides. My parents' credit is terrible due to medical bills and other expenses, but if I give money to my mom, then I'll be favoring her over my dad, and I'm of course mad at my mom for hurting my dad. My dad called me the other day. It's one of the few times he called me instead of the other way around, and he said that he thinks that he has to know, so he was asking me if I'd go with him to take a paternity test. He told me that he always thought it didn't look like him, but my brother out of us two looked more like him. He texted me about this many times after his call. I have to be honest, I want a good relationship with my dad again, and I know if it turns out I am his daughter that it would improve. But I'm afraid of the alternative, and I don't know if I want to know. And my dad also admitted he doesn't know if he wants to know sometimes either. But let's just get it over with, even if the results will hurt us. What do I do? I'm afraid we'll both regret a lot of the actions we've taken this period. I also feel sad because this is still my dad, and I would be devastated if our bond would be nothing to my dad if he finds out I'm not his biological kid. Now for the top advice. If it was my dad, I'd do the test. I'd want to know too. OP, your mom had a 12-year-long affair. That's longer than most marriages, and there's no way your dad won't need a paternity test. Your mom had the nerve to divorce first to say her piece first. Essentially, she never cared for your father. Your dad loves you and his son. The hate and rejection he may express is more to do with the fact your mother humiliated, debased, and lied to him for what is essentially his entire life, and regarding the things he cared for the most. Every time your brother called your father dad, every birthday they spent together. Throughout your mother's pregnancy, while your brother was sick, while they spent time together as father and son, your mother knew the truth, and I'd bet her boss knew too. Your dad sacrificed time, effort, mental well-being, and considerable money to support his family. And the only reason the affair stopped is because your mom was effectively dumped. What could be more humiliating to your dad? He has been played for a fool most of his life. So if he lashes out at you and your brother, it's because he is vulnerable, hating that he loves what was used against him. If he carries on as normal, he feels he is giving your mother what she wants without her ever receiving justice. Your paternal grandparents, uncles, aunts, your cousins were all duped. If your brother has children, they also won't be biologically related to him. Your mother has carried out an intergenerational deceit. Even your brother was left in the dark. Has he been told? Give your money to your dad and tell him to use it for your brother. Cutting out your mother from the equation will make it more palatable for him. Has your mom shown any remorse? Guilt? Regret? How does she justify what she did? What consequences has she faced? This entire situation is due to the selfish actions of one individual. Her actions have damaged your father's relationships, but he still loves you and your brother. His ties to you are stronger than her lies. In my opinion, your best bet at maintaining a relationship with him, regardless of the results of any test, is to unilaterally and immediately cut your mom out of your life before the test. He needs to see you take his feelings seriously. Empathize first and foremost with your father. Show him you care, and he will be more amenable to helping your brother, especially if your mom pays a price for her betrayal. He deserves the right to know as you do. You both only know the lies your mother has told you, and this is the key bit so far. Specifically, she had what reads as a 12-year affair. 12 years? And shows no remorse. Most of your dad's entire adult life and half his family are a lie. He deserves to know, and so do you. I agree. But also wanted to add, OP, you gotta go to therapy, and so do your dad and your brother. I'd suggest telling him you'll take the test if he commits to going to therapy, which you will pay for, including a requirement that he go to some therapy sessions before you take the test, including maybe a joint therapy session with you, where you can tell him you understand how hard this is, and you love him no matter what, and want to be in his life no matter what. And you need to go to therapy before you take the test too. Now for the last story. I messed up by hooking my girlfriend up with a job at a company I work for. Happened years ago, but I was told to post this here. My girlfriend, at the time, and I were dating for just shy of 6 years. We were high school sweethearts and still in school. She'd always struggled with jobs and keeping them, and since we lived together, I usually had to pick up the slack. I was working as an assistant manager at a video game retail store at the time. Probably not hard to figure out which one. It was honestly an easy job as long as you gave little effort. Pre-orders here, couple warranty sales there. And as my girlfriend loved video games more than I did, I had a brilliant idea to get her a job. She's an attractive girl, while 80% of our customers were neckbeards who hardly get to interact with women. Should be easy for her to make sales. There's no way she can mess this up, I said, confidently to myself. There is a policy as of most companies that people in relationships can't work at the same location. No problem. We have 12 stores in our district that are within a 5-mile radius. They seriously put these stores on every other block. I do a little digging and hook her up at a neighboring store that had a vacant position. She would also be working with the head store manager of the district, indirectly one of my bosses. Few weeks in, and it's going great. It took me about a year to get moved up, she dozen weeks. I'm not a self-conscious person, so I didn't care. Plus, she could help pick up her half of the bills. Here's where I started to realize I messed up. Girlfriend comes driving in with a brand new car. Considering we were living paycheck to paycheck, I was pretty upset. I asked her where she got the car from, and she told me I've been saving up. BS, but okay. I loved her, so as long as she's happy, I'm happy. Next comes in with write-ups. I started getting write-ups and customer complaints left and right. I'm a very good employee, and I very rarely make anyone upset. And I couldn't even find where these customers were coming from. Even though my performance was the best out of most employees, I was starting to fear for my job. And as to be predicted, I ended up getting fired. I tried to fight it, but I live in Texas, and the rules are that companies can fire anyone at any time for any reason. I'm absolutely crushed. I turned to my girlfriend for emotional support, only to find her extremely distant. She dumped me days later. Double whammy. I loved her for 6 years. She told me she felt this way for a while. Things are the same. I'm absolutely heartbroken. I'm angry, depressed, jobless. Felt like my life got flipped upside down. 1 week later, her Facebook status put her in a relationship with her boss. My boss. Not sure when it happened, but he bought her a car and then got me fired. Turns out, all the customer complaints about me originated from that store somehow. Total BS. I set her up to absolutely screw me over and to bone my boss. Edit. Perhaps the biggest screw-up is the fact I didn't sue. I was such an emotional wreck from everything that it didn't even cross my mind. But I'm doing pretty well for myself now, and whatever money I'd get would be worth bringing her to court for. Just the thought of seeing her sends chill down my spine. Now for the top comments before the little update. Damn, like she couldn't just leave you? For what reason did that guy have to get you fired first? I can't imagine how you were feeling after that. She probably got his old job since she couldn't suck up to her boss and work at the same location as him. Damn, now I'm sad. For those asking why sad, I appreciate that Opie's doing better now and I'm happy for him, truly. I wrote the original comments prior to edits detailing his happiness and moving on. Not only that though, I'm going through something similar to a story. I'm sure the moment of impact was awful and the suffering was intense at the time. Still, I'm glad things have gotten better. She sounds crazy. Better it happened now than later, when you were married and she tries to take half your stuff. Yeah, this happened for a reason, and he dodged a bullet there. Update. A couple of you guys were wondering, but they dated a few months and broke it off. Neither of them work for the company anymore. A little detail I forgot to mention that when she came to take her stuff from our place, he was helping carry the stuff to her car. That was probably the most gut-wrenching moment for me. Both of them are POS. I really appreciate all the positive feedback. I've been mostly over it, but the love really helps. Some of you guys are asking where she's now. She's doing alright. She's engaged to one of my old high school friends. Also slightly suspicious. Still driving the same car too, from the looks of it. I'm doing pretty well for myself. But if there's any happy ending to this, is that I'm genuinely happier than I've ever been in my life. Again, I really appreciate the positive messages. Reliving and retelling the story made me angry and I missed a few details. I can't prove that he bought her a car, but I was pretty aware of her finances, and she couldn't afford a new car without significant help. It wasn't a fancy car. It was a new Prius that was worth about $18,000 in addition to trading in her old car. And the rumor around the block was that he did in fact help her. I was not a perfect boyfriend. I got upset at silly things. I could have been more attentive, but I never raised my voice, and I was very loyal. The course of when she got promoted to when she got the car was roughly 3 to 4 months. The separation and firing happened about 2 months after that. I didn't clarify that detail. The boss was a DM in training, recently got promoted, and the kind of guy that would spend money to impress a girl.